Hey guys, Charles from Haltz Boots here, and today we're doing a full on-foot review of the new Adidas Crazyfast.1. Alright guys, so I've worn them, as I usually do. It's been a week and a half, 5, 6 times now. Put a couple hours into these boots. And my first overall thoughts are these are definitely better than the Speed Portal. Now, that doesn't mean I really rate these boots highly just because they're better than the Speed Portal. But if I had to choose between the two, I'm definitely picking these boots. And through the rest of this review, I'm gonna go in depth and kind of we're gonna start from the sole plate, work our way all the way up and just talk about the boot and what I liked and disliked and my overall thoughts. Kicking off with the sole plate, and this is the second or third time I've talked about the speed frame, or I guess the aero plate now, if that's what it's actually called. And it did well, it did its job. Like I said, it's a good sole plate for turf. I don't think you need to get a AG pair. AG is already hard enough to track down for Adidas as it is, so don't bother yourself with that. These are fine to wear on turf. I don't care what anybody tells you. They're fairly conical. The turf ones are only gonna add an extra stud or two. So it's not a super big deal in terms of like wearing, with this boot at least, FG to AG, I think you'd be fine. I don't really like to use the word responsive because I feel like it's kind of like a bland word to use when it comes to describing like a sole plate, but they did well, they did their job, they didn't really stick into the ground, and I didn't have a problem wearing them, they never caused any issues. So, the speed frame sole plate I think is actually a good sole plate, and it's a lot like the older F50 sole plates in my opinion, except what I didn't like about the older F50 sole plates is up here in the front, it would be like flat and smooth, and there would be like a couple studs. There'd just be no studs there, and I hated that. So this actually kind of makes it better, and overall sole plate, no issue there. It was pretty decent. Talking about the upper, it's not quite the same as the Crazy Light Pluses was, which I have here with me. It's a bit more like sandpapery, like I think I said in the review beforehand. Whereas on here, it just doesn't feel quite as much. It wasn't a bad upper, but at the same time, I just didn't feel like I got the same feel for the ball that I did with the Crazy Light Plus or anything else. And I kind of want to say the touch on the ball was very similar to the Speed Portal. And for some reason, when I wore the Speed Portal and when I wore these, I just felt like I couldn't do anything right. And it could have just been a bad day, but anything that involved any sort of technical ability, getting the ball, stopping it, dribbling, in a tight area, cutting the ball out, I just couldn't, for some reason, I don't know if it was a mental thing, but I just couldn't get everything properly. I just had to play very simple two-touch. Nothing was working for me in these boots. So maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just a bad footballer, which there could be some truth there, but it's just a problem I had with these, and it just made me stop wanting to wear them. I did continue to wear them to get the review done, and I don't know if it was a mental thing. It wasn't a bad upper, like I said. It felt a lot like the Speed Portal. However, it was a lot more comfortable than the Speed Portal, and it kind of molded to your foot a bit better than the Speed Portal did, and it's not as thick, so it's still much of an improvement. And again, if I had to choose between the Speed Portal or the new Crazyfast, I'm picking these every time. But yeah, the upper just wasn't where I wanted it to be. However, the durability on the upper seems pretty solid. I was playing only on turf, and given that it's a pretty thin and lightweight upper, it held up very well. There's no separation. I pointed out in the review before, and it might be a little bit difficult to tell, but where it gets like a lighter green, this is like an extra layer. So it's almost like when they do for some AG boots, they'll put an extra layer around the bottom of the sole plate and the toe box, kind of just give it some more reinforcement. That's kind of what it feels like with these, because it has a bit of a slicker feeling than the actual upper for these does. So, they held together well, which, the Speed Portals did too, but I didn't really wear those nearly as long as these because they hurt my feet. Hard to say entirely, but I think durability on the upper is going to be decent as well. What I did think was a bigger improvement was this knit upper here. I liked that there was a bit more knit than the Speed Portal was. I felt that it was a bit more comfortable hitting a shot with these, lacing a pass, a long ball. I liked the grooves on it as well. They just look a little cooler. And it's just more comfortable and softer material, I think. I have a pair of Speed Portals here. Yeah, it's a softer material as well than these Speed Portals were. So another plus on that. And like I said, there's a bit more of it. It goes a little bit deeper down to the eyelets than the Speed Portal did. It was a lot more comfortable, and I think this boot is still an overall improvement, but it's not what I want it to be. It's not what I wanted it to be. I want it to be a lot more like the Plus version is going to be, which I think is, if I had to wear any of these, I'm assuming it's gonna be the Plus version, but again, still improvement there. I like the upper, it was soft. it was comfortable. Talking about the heel now, it did have a lot less padding than the Speed Portal did. It still has a lot, but they've also switched the construction. So if you see here, it's got a side here, and then this little spot here, versus in the Speed Portal, it was just these two pads meeting back there in the heel. So I think that's a very big improvement. It was a lot more comfortable. It was soft, it was very plush, no issues there. I like the heel a lot. There still is more padding in the heel than on the Plus version of these boots, but I think that it's still like it's comfortable to wear, and it's not gonna like bother you. So at least not bother you like the Speed Portal did, if the Speed Portal bothered you, because I know it did for some and did for some. It did for some and did not for some. So, you know, it might be different for you. You just gotta kind of try them for yourself and see then at that point. The overall fit of these boots was fairly decent. I went with my size 9, and in Adidas is somewhere where I struggle between an 8.5 and a 9. Nike I can usually keep at my 9. And you know, I felt this toe box was a lot more voluminous, or had a lot more room up in this area here. I don't think that's a bad thing, but when you're already kind of fighting a uphill battle of being kind of stuck between a size, where maybe an 8.5 would actually fit me perfectly, because the Speed Portal would not fit me in the 8.5, but maybe on the Crazyfast an 8.5 would, but you know, there's still a bit of room in the toes. I was able to play and not drag my toes or anything like that, like when you play with boots that are a little too big, so that was good. But it definitely feels like if you're someone who hates having a cramped toe box, that's something that happens to me a lot. I think that it did a good job in that aspect. I just think I need somewhere in the middle between an 8.5 and a 9. So I might actually get these in 8.5 in the future, because we've got basically a whole year in these, and I'll see how I like them, if they're any good. And in a future video, I'm sure I'm gonna be doing more stuff with these, so I'll probably hit on that topic later. But you know, if you're someone who wore like a 9 in the Speed Portal and it was fairly the right sizing, I would go ahead and get your normal size here. Maybe you wanna try a half size down. I usually don't recommend that to people, just because it's kind of a hard recommendation to make, especially when in terms of buying boots, if you're not going into a store and trying them yourself, which a lot of people just buy online now, because I buy online, it makes more sense, it's more convenient, and sometimes you can find better deals. So I guess kind of just be a little wary there, but honestly, you can probably get your normal size in these in terms of sizing. As for the rest of the fit, I did kind of get some pain in the kind of, you know, where you normally get your pain in hot spots for wide feet like I have. I also had a bit of problem in my arch. Now, it's a little hard to tell. I think it was something to do with the boots, but just the amount of different boots I've been trying lately, I found that my feet have been killing me. And it's you know, I guess it's a first world problem of I'm trying all these new boots out and my feet hurt because of it, but you know, I'll get over it and my feet will be fine. So, you know, it's hard to tell for these exactly, but I think they had a little bit to do with the pain. And, you know, it's a similar issue and similar pains that I had to the Speed Portal. Again, I think it's an improvement, and maybe I just need more time to break this material in. So if you have wide feet, it might take a little longer to break these in. You'll most likely be able to get away with it. The ultralight version, and I'm gonna do a video with all three and compare all three, but the ultralight version definitely fit my feet the best so far. If the ultralight, like the Plus model, is the same as the Crazy Light Plus. And I think they're the exact same, so just different colors. So in that aspect, you know, wide feet, these are okay. You know, I kind of talked about the sizing already, and not much else to talk about in terms of fit. So just kind of going over my overall thoughts, I've kind of hit on everything I personally wanted to talk about. You know, it's a good boot. It's not the best. It's definitely like if you took the Speed Portal and everything you hated about it got 65 to 70% better. At least that's how it feels for me. It still had those weird, like, just touch issues. And again, it's probably just me, but when I wore the Speed Portals and when I wore these, it just felt like I couldn't do anything right. So it could have just been 2 bad days back, like in a row, and a coincidence, but that's kind of just a personal thing. Comfortability was okay, still had some pains. It's okay for wide feet, probably just need a bit longer to break them in. The upper's definitely better, the knit upper's definitely better. I like this sole plate, I don't have an issue with this sole plate. If you're someone who's worried about the snapback and thinks the Carbon-Tex really does anything, which maybe it did, but you know, that's kind of an indicator for you there. Yeah, just not exactly what I wanted from this boot, but an improvement nonetheless. I guess that's how I would sum this video up. So I'd probably say, take the Speed Portal, 65% better, you've got this boot. You know, it's a bit lighter, I believe. I forgot to bring a scale in so I can start weighing everything out for you guys, but a bit lighter, nothing that is super, super crazy. I do like the new internal cage. I didn't talk about that much yet, and you should be able to see it a little bit right back in there. And you know, I don't know if it really makes a difference, but I do kind of like that. It's a bit more see-through. I mean, even like I'm looking through the insole right now, and there's like tiny cutouts in the insole to make them a little lighter, and you can see like a green glow. So like everything is really, really light about these, which is nice. If you're someone who like if you were to wear a pair of Tiempos, you could really tell the weight difference. That's not a problem I have. It's usually just I'm very picky. But you know, if you're really going for light boots and you really think that light boots help make you faster, which maybe they do, maybe it's a mental thing, I would say you could probably get these. You know, I forget the retail. I want to say it's $240, $250 maybe. I want to say somewhere in between there, maybe $225. So you know, about the normal retail price of an X boot. Yeah, overall. So my rating for these is gonna be like a 7.6, which I believe I gave the Speed Portal a 6.5 or lower. I wanna say 6.5, it's been a minute. So better, definitely better, not the greatest, kind of how I would sum this video up. I don't think I'm gonna continue to wear these, honestly. There's very few boots these days that I've been keeping in the rotation just because it's hard to actually get to wear the rotation. Lately it's just been training in these boots, and then when I play games, just wearing 11 Pro. So my rotation really doesn't exist right now. But yeah, I'm probably keeping it out of the rotation. Definitely an okay pair of boots. Let me know your thoughts down below though. Is this a pair that you're gonna pick up? I think you should if you like the X model, but I haven't really favored the X model that much recently. So if you like the Speed Portal, I think you're gonna like these a lot more. If you didn't like the Speed Portal, you'll kind of like these. At least that's what I think, but who knows what I think. So again, let me know down in the comments. I really like talking to you guys down there. I really like hearing your guys' thoughts because there's some pretty cool ones and some pretty cool observations. And usually every video, somebody tells me something either about the boot I talked about or something completely different that I never knew. So I'm always learning from you guys as well, which is also super cool. So please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next review.